Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Sandown Park here on Thursday. It is the 23rd of May 2024. I'm going to look at all the stakes races on the program tonight from Sandown, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kit 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it, around the world. Let's look at all the races on tonight's program. So we have 6 races to look at. 4 of them are stakes races, so it's a good quality program. The first race is 607. It's the World Horse Welfare Handicap. It's Class 4 handicap going for a purse $14,500. Race for 3-year-olds only. Horses rate 61 to 80. We have a field, as my page craps out, field of 11 horses going 1,600 meters or a mile on the turf course. My top selection here, I'm going to take the number 4 horse Surveyor. I'm going to go 4-10-2 in the Tricast trifecta. 4-10-2 Tricast trifecta. Top selection of 4 horse Surveyor. This 3-year-old filly here by Pivotal. James Fanshaw trains. Ryan Moore gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing, the 1st of May, Kempton, 1 mile on the poly track in a Class 4 handicap, and the horse finished 5th by 4 lengths that day. And, just kind of stalked all the way around from a little bit wide post. Got a little bumpy in the lane, which probably cost her the victory. She just couldn't keep up, but she ran her heart out. Coming to yielding ground, and the source ran very well last year. I'm going to give her a shot to, get a good trip to win here today. 2 backs ran the 4th of April, Lingfield, a mile on the poly track in a Class 5 Maine's Fillies race, and she won by a head that day. She had a dream tracking trip all throughout, but she slowly grinded her way to the wire, and she got the job done. Took a little bit of time to get going, but I thought it was a very good, strong effort that day. And then prior to that, 12th of September at Leicester with 7 furlongs in a Class 4 novice race. She finished 2nd by 2 lengths that day. She had a very wide trip that day. She left to get good position, but then she just kind of yielded late, maybe just not staying the trip there. And then at Newmarket on the July course in August, 7 furlongs in Class 2 Phillies main race. Finished 4th by 3 1/4 lengths that day. Again, she just kind of stalked. She didn't get up the hill well. First race, she probably need the race for experience, but refreshing here today, I think she could win. I think the 10 horse here, who is Berkshire Nugget for David Egan and Andrew Baldwin, still mating here. I think he could get a trip to win. Most recently ran 4th of May 2 weeks ago, or 2.5 weeks ago now, or 3 weeks ago now at Goodwood. A mile in a Class 4 main race. He finished 3rd by 7.5 lengths that day. They put the headgear on the race before. They took it off that race. He finished 3rd by 2 1/4 lengths that day. He was with them early on. He just kind of yielded late. Maybe he needed the race, it just wasn't his day to win. The to and from had better trips. I think he gets a better trip here today. It's also not as tough a main race. He's facing winners here, but it's not as tough as that main race was. Also, he's bred for this mile trip through and through with the expert eye on the sire side. 2 back in a Class 4 handicap at Kempton over the 7th and 10th of April. He finished 2nd by 3/4 length with the headgear on. He sat back early. He really closed up well late. Not a bad race after all said and done. And then in the fall at Chester, 6 furlongs in a Class 4 novice race. He finished 4th by 3 3/4 lengths that day. He was with them early on. He got a bit of a troubled trip late, which kind of hit the wall. What can you do? He ran his heart out. He's a bit of a versatile horse. He could show some pace, or he could come from behind. Coming here today, he could definitely get the race done. I'll use him on the ticket. But to recount my selection for the first, the 607 from Sandown, it is the World Horse Welfare Handicap. I'm going to take the 4 horse Surveyor. Give kudos to the 10 horse Berkshire Nugget. 4-10-2 Tricast trifecta. 4-10 in the multi race. Let's get to the second race, the 637 now, which is the National Stakes. It's a listed stakes for Class 1 horses going for a purse $38,000. Races for 2-year-olds here. 7 horses are dashing 1,000 meters or 5 furlongs on the turf course. This is always the first 2-year-old race I look at in the UK for the season. So when I start, early on 2-year-olds races in the UK, I'll look at them as fans, but as a gambler, not so much. But now I'm I slow. This is around the same time every year. Start with the National Stakes, and then we get to to some of the stakes races going on in the UK as we get to Royal Ascot. That's when we go full throttle with the 2-year-old races. But with that being said, I'm going to take 3 horse Rock Hunter as a top selection. Let's go 3-1-6 in the Tricast trifecta. 3-1-6 Tricast trifecta. Top selection 3 horse Rock Hunter. This 2-year-old called by expert eye here. Amy Murphy trains. Sylvester de Sousa gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in a Class 2 conditions race at Ascot. 5 furlongs on the 1st of May, and he finished 2nd by a neck that day. And he just stalked all the way around the race course. He had the lead. The winner, Enchanting Empress, who's running back this one today, actually caught this horse, came back on this horse, and got the job done. This horse, he ran his heart out, maybe just a little bit too experienced late where he gave up the lead, but refreshing here against these horses. Could be fairly paced again. I think he get the job done. He ran prior to that at Chantilly in France, 4th of April, 5 furlongs in a true maiden race, and he won by 3 lengths, and he broke out of the gate well. He quickened up nicely in the front end, and it was an all-around easy race. Definitely showed potential last time out. Refreshing here against these horses. You know, they bought him for $40,000 quite a few years ago, so they think highly of him. I think he could win. I'll use him on the ticket. I think the one horse here, Hawaiian, for Richard Hanna and Sean Levy, can win also. Most recently ran at Newbury last month, Class 4 maiden race over the 5 on yielding ground 19th of April, where he won by a neck that day, and he had to be used quite a bit to get the job done and concentrate on the run, but he got the job done from a tracking trip. Not the flashiest victories, but he really, ran well. I think second off the bench, he should really improve a lot more. Gets a good poster, could be forwardly paced. He ran a decent 5. I'll give him a shot here on a slightly quicker ground than he was facing last month in Newbury. But to recount my selection for the 637 now, the second race from Sandown, it is the National Stakes. Going to take the 3-horse Rock Hunter, give kudos to the 1-horse Hawaiian, 3-1-6 Tricast Trifecta, 3-1 in the multi-race. Let's get to the third event now from Sandown, which is the 707. It is the Group 3 Henry II Stakes. It's Group 3 event for Class 1 horses, going for a purse of $101,500. Races for 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 7 horses going 3,200 meters or 2 miles on the turf course. Going to take the 6-horse chess piece as a top selection. Let's go 6-5-1 in the Tricast Trifecta. 6-5-1 Tricast Trifecta, top selection 6-horse chess pieces. 4-year-old gun by Nathaniel here. Godolphin owned, Godolphin owned, Simon and Christopher Train. William Buick gets the mount on this one. He hasn't been seen since the Group 3 Dubai Finest Surprise Stakes at Newbury, mile and a half, 20th of April. First off the bench, he ran horribly. He finished 5th by 4 3/4 lengths. He weakened out of it from a tracking trip. He needed the race. I think coming to a longer trip for the first time should really suit him well. It looks like he could be a bit of a stayer here today. Against these horses, I think he could get the job done. He ran 2 back at Ascot on the 6th of October, a mile 3/4 staying in the Noel Merle Stakes, and he finished second by a length that day, and he stalked that day. He had the lead for a split portion. He kind of yielded the late middle of the earth, just had the jump on him, but he ran his heart out that day. And then prior to then, the Group 1 St. Ledger at Doncaster, mile 13, 16, 16th of September, he finished 6th by 14 lengths that day, and he was with them early on, but then just kind of hit the wall. He was facing a little bit too tough competition that day. Nobody was catching the wind there. And then the Group 3 Gordon Stakes at Goodwood, a mile and a half on soft ground, 3rd of August. He finished second by a neck that day. He was with them early on. He just couldn't get there late. Desert Hero had the jump on him, but he ran his heart out that day. And then the Glasgow Stakes at Hamilton, he won by 1.5 lengths that day. And basically on the front end, that was a very good run. Like I said, I think he's been crying out for the 2-mile trip. He's going to get it today. I think he could find the trip to win. I think the John and Vady guys in train 5-horse Sweet Williams are the second likeliest winner for Rab Havlin. This 5-year-old gal by See the Stars here. Most recently ran in the Group 3 Cigar Stakes at Ascot, 2 miles on the 1st of May, where he finished 3rd by 1 1/4 lengths that day. And he's with him early on. He had a little bit of a turn of foot, but then he just kind of was flat late. He is getting blinkers on today, which hopefully will concentrate him. Early on in his career, he was just a little lackadaisical, but he has hidden ability that could definitely win against these horses. 2 back, he ran in the Group 2 Long Distance Cup at Ascot, 2 miles, 21st of October. Finished 3rd by 13 lengths that day, and he didn't break so well, and he never really showed up. I really don't think he liked the very heavy ground that day. And then the Group 2 in the Group 2 Doncaster Cup at Doncaster, 2 miles and a quarter in September, finished second by 1 1/4 lengths behind Trushan. He's running back in this one today. He moved a little bit late from a quite far position early on, but again, Trushan really ran terrifically there. But if you look at some of those races, the race at Goodwin in May and on August over the 2 miles, mile and 3/4, that was a very good victory where he was winning on the front end there. And then prior to that, he didn't break so well at Newbury, but again, he won quite easily. Refreshing here, it's not the world's toughest race, can handle a slight give in the ground. I think second off, he should get a good trip to win. I'll definitely use him in the quad pot that begins with this race, so let's use him there. But to recount my selection for the 707 now, the third race from Sandown, it's the Group 3 Henry II Stakes. Gonna take the 6-horse chess piece, give kudos to the 5-horse Sweet William, 6-5-1 Tricast Trifecta, 6-5 in the multi-race quad pot. Let's get to the fourth race now. The the fourth race here, the 7:37. I hate these off times where it's not 5-minute increments. It's now by the second, or by the it's just, I hate it. It's by the second, it seems. We're gonna have in a few years times. Yes, the Derby's gonna be going off at 6:01 and 3/5 of a second. But let's get to the fourth race, 7:37, which is the Group 3 Brigadier Gerald Stakes. It's a Group 3 event for Class 1 horses going for a purse of $101,500. Race for 4-year-olds and upwards. 5 horses going 2,000 meters, or a mile and a quarter here in the Brigadier Gerald. Gonna take the number 3 horse, Royal Rhyme. I'm gonna go 3-1-2 in the tri-cash trifecta here. 3-1-2 tri-cash trifecta. Top selection 3 horse, Royal Rhyme. This 4-year-old colt by Lupe de Vega. Carl Burke trains. Clifford Lee gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the Group 1 Champion Stakes at Ascot, a mile and a quarter, 21st of October, and he finished 5th by 5 lengths that day, and he just kind of stalked that day. He got close to King of Steel in the top of the lane, but then just he took off clear. Via Sistina, who was the next star winner, who placed that day, ran terrifically. This horse just got outclassed by proper Group 1 horses. He's into a Group 3 today, which is not the world's deepest Group 3. I think he could find the trip to win. It took him a little bit of time to get going, but as his career really progressed at the end of the season last year, he became a good horse in those handicap divisions, and ran some good races. 2 back in the at Ayr in the Donside Cup over the mile and a quarter on the 23rd of September. Quite yielding ground. He won by 1.5 lengths that day from a tracking trip. He really took off clear. That was a very good, strong run, going all out with the victor that day. And then prior to that, Goodwood, a mile and a quarter in a Class 2 handicap. He won by 6.5 lengths that day, and basically on the front end, they just let him go, and he really took off clear. Very, very good race. Major improvement off the race before, which came in the Heritage Handicap at Newbury, mile and a quarter, 20th of May in the London Gold Cup. He finished 11th by 14.5 lengths that day, and he lost he just lost all chances basically before the race even started, because he was very rambunctious. He got into the gate, he stalked, but then just completely hit the wall. He's just, very head case kind of horse that day. And then prior to that, in Class 3 handicap at Haydock over the, at Newmarket over the mile and a quarter, he finished, he won by 5 lengths that day, and from a tracking trip, he really took off clear. When he's not a head case, he really runs these terrific races. He has some good farley pace that can win against these horses. He'll, I think he could get the job done here. I'll use him on the ticket. I think the 1 horse Certain Lad can win also for Bass and Jack Hannon. But getting up there in age, it's 8-year-old gelding here. Most recently in the Finest Surprise Stakes in Newbury over the mile and a half in April, he finished 4th by 4.5 lengths that day. He moved a little bit late from the back of the pack, but it wasn't anything spectacular. He desperately needed the race there first off. Prior to that, Doncaster over the mile and a quarter in a Class 2 handicap in the fall in late October, he won by 3/4 length from a tracking trip on that heavy ground. He took off clear. It was a very good race for him there. And then prior to that, in a Class 2 handicap at York over the mile and a quarter in October, he won by 2 lengths. He likes the heavy stuff. He won by 2 lengths, and again on the front end, he showed some good pace. He should get a good trip here on the front end. He had a decent race here at Sandown over the summer in a Class 2 handicap, where he was a little rambunctious before the race, but he was really showing some good speed early on. Kind of hit the wall late, but he ran his art out. That was a decent run. Come back here, second off the bench, back to a mile and a quarter, which is his preferred trip. I'm going to give him a shot here on the quad pot ticket. But to recount my selection for the fourth now, the 7:37 from Sandown, it's the Group 3 Brigadier Gerald Stakes, or Gerald Stakes. Going to take the 3 horse Royal Rhyme. Give kudos to the 1 horse Certain Lad. 3-1-2 tri-cash trifecta. 3-1 in the multi-race. Let's get to the 5th race now, the 8-12, which is the Heron Stakes. It's listed stakes for Class 1 horses, going for a purse of $57,000. Race for 3-year-olds here. 8 horses were entered. The 8 horse will be scratch or a non-runner, so 7 will go 1,600 meters or a mile on the turf course. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the 5 horse Ramad. I'm going to go 5-4-6 in the tri-cash trifecta. 5-4-6 tri-cash trifecta. Top selection of 5 horse Ramad. This 3-year-old colt by Glen Eagles. William Haggis trains. Tom Marquand gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 26th of April, Sandown, a mile and a quarter in the Group 3 Classic Trial Stakes, and he finished 3rd by 3 3/4 lengths that day. And he was with them early on, but he just couldn't get the turn a foot late. The Arabian Crown really took off clear. This horse just kind of stalked and wasn't getting into it. Back to a mile trip, second off the bench, he should be a little bit fresher. little give in the ground. I think he could get the job done. Two back in the Ascend Stakes at Haydock, listed stakes 1 mile on the 9th of September. He finished third by 4 1/4 lengths that day. And again, he was with him early on. He's had the lead for a split portion. Almu Mask had to just jump on him and won that day. Really ran terrifically. But this horse, he got down the race course well. He didn't completely hit the wall, but he ran his heart out that day. And then a Class 4 handicap at Goodwood, mile on the 27th of August. He won by 4 1/2 lengths that day, and he was almost on the front end all throughout. Quickened up nicely. Nobody was catching him. A very good race. Even on debut and the defeat of Haydock over the 7 furlongs in the Class 4 novice race, he finished second by 2 1/4 lengths that day. He stalked the winner again, just had the jump on him, but he got around the race course well. I think coming here second off the bench back to a mile trip should really suit him well. He's run very well in the 5 barrier. Watch out for him here today. I think the second likeliest winner here is the 4 horse, who is Kukailio? I can't speak English, let alone other languages. This Imperial Colt by Kingman here. Harry Carlson trains this one. Ryan Moore gets the mount on this one. Most recently during the Craven meeting at Newmarket, 7 furlongs in a Class 4 main race. He won by a neck that day. And, he basically, stalked all the way around the race course, but when he got to the lane, he just kind of yielded. But Ryan Moore had to really use his horse that day. He got the job done. You haven't seen him since then, so maybe it took a little bit out of him. If he could concentrate on the run here today, he could definitely win. Maybe he needs blinkers. 2 back at in a Class 4 novice race at Newmarket, 7 furlongs, 3rd of November. He finished second by 2 1/2 lengths that day, and he was with him early on, stalking. He just couldn't catch the winner, Zoom Zoom, who was a next start winner. Third place finisher, Blan Macaro's actually ran this one, was also a next start winner. Quite a few horses out of that race were next start winners in general, but this horse, he just couldn't get there. Maybe the very demanding ground got to him. They ran a very slow 7 furlongs that day. They ran 8 seconds faster in the race afterwards on the 16th of April for that same 7 furlong trip. But this horse, he just couldn't get there on the demanding ground. He's going to see yielding ground today, which I think should suit him well. He'll be forwardly paced, getting Ryan back up. If he could keep to the task, he could win, but it does scare me that he had to be quite an awful lot to win last time out at Newmarket. But to recap my selection now for the 8-12, the 5th race from Sandown, it's the Heron Stakes. Going to take the 5 horse Ramad. Give kudos to the 4 horse, 5-4-6, Tri-Cash Trifecta. 5-4 in the quad pod. The nightcap, the 6th race, the 8:42 now from Sandown. It is the Horse Kick Cider Whitsun Cup Handicap. It's Class 3 handicap, going for a $22,000 purse. Race for 4-year-olds and upwards. Horse rate 76 to 95. A dozen horses are going 1,600 meters or a mile on the turf course. The top selection here, I'm going to go with the 5 horse Crack Shot. 5-1-3 for me in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 5-1-3 Tri-Cash Trifecta. Top selection of 5 horse Crack Shot. Jamie Spencer's on this one. Fred Walker. Most recent outing came the 4th of May at Newmarket, Guineas weekend. A mile and a Class 3 handicap, and he won by a length that day. And he basically stalked all the way around the race course. When he had the turn of foot, he took off clear. Good return to the race that day. Not a bad race at all. Coming here second off the bench with a very good poster. Could be Farley Page, which isn't half bad here. I think he can get a good trip to win. 2 back in the Cambridgeshire handicap in Newmarket, a mile on the 8th and the 30th of October. He ran, 30th of September, he ran horribly. He finished 16th by 3 3/4 lengths that day, and he just had a very, he never got into it. He got interfered with a few times, and he just did not run a good race. It wasn't his day to win. And then prior to that, in Class 3 handicap at Newbury, a mile on the 29th of October, he won by a half a length that day, and again, he really took off clear on the front end from a tracking trip. Quickened up nicely, a very, very good race. He won quite a few times last year. He was a winner twice, once at Newbury in the midsummer, and once at in the beginning of the summer at Nottingham, where he ran over the mile in a Class 5 maiden race, where he won by a half a length that day, and he really closed up from nowhere to get the job done. A very good race. Came back to run in Scotland over the mile at Hamilton in a Class 5 novice race, where he finished second by 2.5 lengths. Again, he just missed late, but again, he gained a lot of ground late. Not a bad race after all said and done. Had a decent form last year. Refreshing here to Sandown. He could win. I think your second likeliest winner is the 1 horse Al Zahar for Daniel Thedhope and David O'Meara, coming in from the north to run here. Most recently ran at Chester in a Class 2 handicap of the mile fast ground 10th of May, where he finished 4th by 3 lengths that day, and he just couldn't quicken up. He was a little bit flat late. Desperately need the race. I think second off, you should get a better trip here today, even from a wide post drop. Prior to that, Chelmsford over the Poly track, 7 furlongs on Class 2 handicap in September. He finished 5th by 2 3/4 lengths that day. And again, he was just a little bit flat that day from a tracking trip. Maybe he needs something more there. And then he ran horribly at York in the Sky Bet Mile Handicap, Heritage Handicap during Ebor. He finished 10th by 10 lengths that day, and he completely hit the wall late from a tracking trip. He just crumbled that day. Disappointing run. But that was also his first race since the Heron Stakes at Chelmsford a mile on the 1st of April, where he finished 5th by 4 3/4 lengths that day. He just, again, he just couldn't get there. He hasn't won since his the Al Rayn Mile in Doha as a 2-year-old, or excuse me, early on in his 2-year-old campaign, where he won quite nicely at the front end, and he won a very nice novice race on the Pine Track as a 2-year-old Kempton. But refreshing here, I think he could get the job done. At 15-1, second off a decent run last time out. I'm going to use him on the quad pot to end it off. But to recap my selection now for the 6th, 842 from Sandown, it is the Whitsun Cup Handicap. I'm going to take the 5-horse Crack Shot. Give kudos to the 1-horse Alzehar. 513 Tri-Cash Trifecta. 5-1 in the multi-race. So good luck to all of them. Please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKit5. Good luck, everybody.